What is it? Are we failing? If we're failing, how are we arresting 23,000 violent felons? Twice as many as this time last year. Are we failing? Because if we're failing, how are we seizing 1,500 kilograms of meth, 25% increase from last year? Are we failing?
Including the National Domestic Terrorism Incident Database.
I mean, most of that is just not true. We have 1,700 current DT-managed programs. We're up 300% in the amount of cases we brought against nihilistic, violent extremists, including 764, wishing to harm our children.
The FBI's website states that protecting the United States from terrorist acts is the FBI's #1 priority, including from domestic terrorists. Is this still your #1 priority?
Domestic terrorism?
Preventing domestic terrorism.
Our #1 priorities are protecting the homeland and international terrorism and crushing violent crime, and domestic terrorism sort of interlays between both of those.
Okay, so well, then I'm glad that you're giving us the right answer, but unfortunately, your actions kind of tell a different story. Earlier this year, you granted the ranks of the FBI's Domestic Terrorism Operations Section. This is the section of the FBI that is most directly responsible for addressing political violence in our country by preventing attacks from occurring and effectively responding to them if they do. The agents in this section are the ones who stopped an individual stockpiling weapons, who planned to attack schools and churches in Florida and seized bombs made by an ISIS sympathizer in New Orleans. And instead of ensuring that this section has all the resources that it needs at a time when its mission is critical, you fired its decorated veteran FBI agents who have served their country proudly under Republican and both Democratic presidents, and you scrapped the tools that they developed to fight domestic terrorism, including the National Domestic Terrorism Incident Database.
I mean, most of that is just not true. We have 1,700 current DT-managed programs. We're up 300% in the amount of cases we brought against nihilistic, violent extremists, including 764, wishing to harm our children. The FBI and the men and women are getting after that problem set more than ever because I've unleashed them to do so. And any insinuation that these tragic occurrences across the country are somehow singularly my fault or disgusting because that watershed goes down to the men and women at the FBI, and they are not responsible for it. I'm happy to work with you to get them what they need.
Gentlelady controls the time. Unanimous consent request. You'll state a request.
Thank you very much. Into the record, an article from Reuters titled FBI Scales Back Staffing, Tracking of Domestic Terrorism, Probes Sources Say. Thank you very much.
Without objection.
I appreciate that. So, Mr. Patel, and it isn't just the Domestic Terrorism Operations section. Under your watch, agents are fully diverting their attention to these anti-immigrant and city takeover operations, leaving our children vulnerable to dangerous networks of online predators, both domestic and international. You pulled more than 120 FBI agents from their normal duties to operate sobriety checks and conduct traffic stops, exposing the FBI's fleet of unmarked cars and thereby making it harder for the FBI to combat violent criminal gangs, foreign intelligence services, and drug traffickers in the process.
That's simply not true. If we were not able to do two things at one time, how would we be seizing record amounts of fentanyl? 23,000 violent felons have been arrested.
Time belongs to the gentlelady.
More than twice as many as
Time
last
belongs to
year.
the gentlelady from Georgia.
Thank you very much. And this request basically is, it is an article from Reuters which quotes law enforcement officers familiar with agents who once covered child exploitation cases but now focus on immigration child exclusive. Thousands of agents diverted to Trump immigration track down. Mr. Patel, in the short time I have left, your tenure as director of FBI has been somewhat problematic. Americans are left definitely less safe under your watch. You have gutted the FBI's ability to keep safe from domestic terrorism. You have sent FBI agents to conduct traffic stops and round up hardworking immigrants who pose no danger to public safety. People even President Trump referred to as good, long-time workers. Your job is to protect and serve the American public.
Time to the
You have
gentlelady.
spent your time protecting heinous individuals and using the FBI to serve as a political circus. You at times have appeared unequipped,
Time
and
to
this
the
country
gentlelady has
deserves better, and I yield.
What is it? Are we failing? If we're failing, how are we arresting 23,000 violent felons? Twice as many as this time last year. Are we failing? Because if we're failing, how are we seizing 1,500 kilograms of meth, 25% increase from last year? Are we failing? Because we captured 4 top 10 FBI most wanted from around the world in 7 months. That's more than the entirety of the last administration. Are we failing? Because we put 1,500 child predators in prison. Are we failing? Because we dismantled 300 human trafficking networks. Which is it? You don't like me? That's fine. But don't you dare disparage the men and women of the FBI that are producing record results in historic fashion to protect this country. They are kicking ass for America, and they're going to continue to do so.
The high-stakes institutional battle over the operational focus of the FBI, initially highlighted during this congressional exchange, set the stage for systemic shifts and fierce controversies that reshaped federal law enforcement through mid-2026. Under the leadership of FBI Director Kash Patel, the Bureau implemented sweeping internal restructuring, including scrapping specialized surveillance rules compliance units and facing intense scrutiny over an alleged loyalist agent purge and an alleged $1 million bonus slush fund. While congressional Democrats through mid-2026 demanded investigations and transparency tests following reports of internal organizational strain, Patel and the Trump administration aggressively countered critics by pointing to historic, data-driven successes. In major July 2026 press briefings, Patel announced unprecedented enforcement milestones, including a 365% surge in violent gang arrests, major disruptions against transnational syndicates like Trend Aragua, and billions of dollars recovered in global fraud initiatives. Even as Bureau veterans heavily criticized him for prematurely broadcasting active multi-state operation details on social media to inflate public metrics. The sharp line of questioning that preceded these structural overhauls saw Representative Lucy McBath of Georgia aggressively press Director Patel on the direct diversion of highly specialized federal assets away from tracking political violence and domestic security threats. McBath introduced media records from Reuters detailing that under Patel's watch, decorated veteran agents within the domestic terrorism operations section were actively fired or reassigned, while crucial analytical safety nets like the National Domestic Terrorism Incident Database were systematically scaled back or entirely scrapped. The congressional panel fiercely alleged that diminishing these specific security tools directly compromises domestic counter-extremism capabilities, highlighting past successful operations where targeted tracking dismantled armed plots against schools, churches, and public venues before tragedy could strike. The confrontation grew increasingly volatile as McBath turned to the controversial mobilization of federal personnel to reinforce the administration's sweeping anti-immigrant and domestic border operations. Lawmakers expressed profound concern that pulling more than 120 FBI agents from specialized field duties to operate roadside sobriety checks and localized traffic stops not only leaves children vulnerable to complex networks of online predators, but actively compromises the strategic anonymity of the Bureau's unmarked fleet. McBath emphasized the human cost of these directives, alleging that diverting core personnel away from critical child exploitation task forces to execute low-level traffic sweeps serves as a political circus rather than a legitimate countermeasure against high-level drug cartels, foreign intelligence threats, or violent street gangs. Director Patel fiercely rejected the line of questioning, delivering a rapid-fire defense that completely dismissed the accusations of organizational failure. Patel countered that the Bureau was fully equipped to simultaneously execute complex border security mandates and maintain strict internal safety operations, citing the active management of over 1,700 ongoing domestic terrorism investigations under his command. He robustly defended his administrative approach, noting a staggering 300% surge in cases successfully brought against violent extremists and child predators, attributing the aggressive output to his personal initiative to unleash the full operational capability of his field personnel, rather than leaving them bound by previous bureaucratic constraints. The Capitol Hill clash reached a fiery climax, as Patel openly revolted against what he categorized as highly personal and hyper-partisan attacks designed to undermine the integrity of the rank-and-file workforce. While acknowledging that lawmakers may harbor personal political distaste for his appointment and leadership style, he explicitly warned against disparaging the baseline dedication of the field agents who were executing historic operational results. Patel's passionate defense, boldly asserting that the men and women of the Bureau were producing record-breaking numbers to protect the homeland, solidified a deep institutional rift over federal priorities, leaving the long-term boundaries between national security operations and localized political mandates heavily contested.